Hello, welcome. My name is Liz Sue, and I am here to talk to you today about early elementary age children and what to do with them when you're trying to work from home and teach your children and make sure that everything is good in the household. It takes a little bit of time, and if you saw the overview, the introduction, you know that you're going to parse your time out. So when you're schooling, you're schooling. When you're working, you're working. And you have to be flexible in that. And the older your children are, the easier it is and the harder it is. It's easier because the kids are able to do more on their own without you constantly being there, right there for them. But it's also harder because they can move along faster than they could in the classroom, they are able to do more, and so they might outpace what you thought they could do that day. And so we want to make sure that we're constantly keeping them entertained, educated, busy, learning. And when I say entertained, I don't mean by you. Yes, it's fun to be a silly person, and any person who's ever seen me teach knows that I like to have fun. But it's important for you to understand that you can be entertained when you're working. You're entertaining yourself. You're getting things done and you're having fun doing it, or it might be dreary and you hate it. But sometimes the kids are doing things that are dreary and they hate it, but it has to get done anyway. And so it's learning about, what's the word I'm looking for, being persevering and determined that you're going to get the work done, fun or not. Have a game where you can set a timer saying, I know math is your favorite subject, but we're going to do math and I'm going to set the timer for 3 minutes, and at that point let's see what you've been able to accomplish, or for 4 minutes, or you figure out the time frame. How long do you think that will take you? Think it'll take you 30 seconds? Do you think it'll take you 2 minutes? How long do you think it's going to take? So you want to get them involved in their learning and entertaining themselves so that you're not constantly having to stand over them and say, do your work. A 6 and 7 year old, let's start with them because we ended the last video with 4 and 5 year olds. 6 and 7 year olds are usually very interested in what's happening around them. They want to know, how does this thing work? How does that work? They might take a pen, take it apart, and try and take off the end, and then try to take this part out because they want to know, how does it work? So if you have some things that they can actually take apart and put together, great. If you have those erector sets, or Lincoln Logs, or blocks, or Legos, the kids get fascinated with it, and they're like, oh, Mom, check this out. Oh, Dad, look at what I've done. And they're showing you, Grandma, Grandpa, they're showing you what they've done because they're proud of this work that they had to think about in their head, and they made it, create it, and it's real. So it's important for you to look at it, actually look at what they've done, acknowledge it, appreciate it, recognize. Isn't that what you want from work, to be appreciated and recognized for what you do? So do they. And this starts here, where they are being creative and their efforts are being acknowledged. So when it comes to acknowledging what they're doing art-wise, it's really easy to do. But when it comes to reading, there are some kids just need to see it and see it and see it, and all of a sudden it clicks and they start to read. And it's an amazing thing that if you are homeschooling your child who doesn't quite know how to read yet, they kind of get the phonics where you're sounding out the letters and you have the sight words, and you're like, okay, well, if I have this, and then I have to put this together, I have the TH and I have an ING, and it's thing. The word is thing. It is it's a blessing. It's like seeing a child walk for the first time. It is a gift that you get to experience because you were there when they finally figured it out. Because of the vocabulary work that I did with my children when they were younger and still reading to them, I could hear my daughter reading in the back, and she got to a word that she didn't know, and you could hear her sounding things out. And I'm driving down the road and heard her sounding this word out. All of a sudden she said it, and it was a difficult word, but she knew enough of how to sound the words out that she got it, and she was thrilled with her abilities. And I was like, yay, good job. So you are here at the cutting edge of when things really start to click in their brain. So phonics and sight words are really important. I talked last time, there are are different kinds of, I'm sure you'll be able to find them online, of how to use Hooked on Phonics, how to use lots of different kinds of things. But bottom line is, it's teaching them uh, the sounds that the letters make. Where if you have th, right, it could be th, or it could be the. So it's teaching them those two sounds, and then saying, okay, so we have the word th, and we have letters th and en. Is it fen or is it then? Teaching them that what the sounds that the letters make. There are lots of workbooks out there that you might be able to find online. This is my suggestion to you. Have less of your work in workbooks, and make sure that the workbook, if you're going to have one, is sequential. Like it'll say A, B, C, D. It doesn't say, hey, here's a Z and here's an I and here's an A, and it just puts it all in order, because the kids are going to think, oh, that's how it is. But a sequential book builds on what you've taught. So if you're talking about TH and it talks about the two sounds, then you're adding things like N, EN, or ING. And then what happens when we take these things, put them together? Okay, those are the first 4 pages. And the next page is, and it goes on and it builds. So by the time you get to the end of the workbook, it actually has built a solid foundation where you can build a first story and a second story and put the roof on it, and everything is good and clear. There's a lot of junky workbooks out there that are just time fillers. They don't serve any purpose. There are some random review of some random lesson that was out there. They might be cheap to buy, but they're useless to use in many cases, unless you're looking for some, we're just driving in the car, here's a quick review of what you've done, and hopefully you've taught it to them or they've been taught already. So multiplication games, you might be able to do that with a 6 and 7-year-old. Probably want to wait till they're 8 or 9, depends on your child. Again, you gotta run that show because you're with them. What other things did I work here? Working with picking out words, getting the main idea, finding, putting things in sequence. What's another thing? Facts. What are the facts? Those are things that the kids can do. If they are trying to understand what they're reading, again, I was reading when I was 4. One of my kids didn't read until he was 8. I kept teaching him, and when it clicked for him, it was astonishing. He just became a voracious reader, and he still loves to read because he finally got it. So if your kids are a little bit slower to catch on, just keep on showing them, and be patient, because sometimes it takes you a while to get something, right? Some things you never want to touch, but this is an important skill to know. With reading, have them pick books that are above their grade level to challenge the vocabulary. Again, we talked about reading to them, but also making sure that they are able to sound these words out. You don't want to have simple stories. They might have simple books that they like to read, but that's not going to challenge them. It's not going to grow. If you have the books from school, great. They're age specific. If you have other books, you can get online, try and have them older vocabulary to keep on pushing their vocabulary levels. 8 to 9-year-olds. 8 to 9-year-olds think that they can do everything, but they still need you. And they are more confident because they've been reading, they do their math, they have all sorts of, I'm super smart and super strong, but you and I both know that they're not really ready for the whole world yet. So an 8 to 9-year-old, you're gonna have things to challenge them, but not to overwhelm them. You can say, here, I'd like for you to make some pancakes for dinner. Pancakes for dinner? Well, do you want to do it first thing in the morning when everyone is starving? Probably not. You'll probably say, okay, so how are we going to do this? Here's a cookbook, here's the recipe, whatever it is that you have. What are the things that you need? And have them go around the kitchen and get them. They will learn a skill. You won't have to cook, and you will be able to help them. Okay, where's the flour? Okay, where's the eggs? What else do you need? Oh, where are the measuring cups? You'll be amazed at where they know where things are. You didn't even know that they knew, because they've been watching you. If you don't cook, you'll be like, they weren't watching anybody. Okay, well, fine. They're going to learn how to do it. Teach them how to make sloppy joes. These are life skills that an 8 to 9-year-old will relish learning. Teach them how to clean the toilet. Ew, gross. Yeah, teach them how to do that. So when they go to the bathroom the next time, they don't know if they're going to have to clean up that mess that they left or if you are. And if you're tired of cleaning up the mess, teach them how to do that. I had my kids doing chores when they were 2, 4, and 6. The 2-year-old had to take out the compost heap stuff to dump into the compost bin. And he walked out there and he dumped it in there and he dropped the bowl. Well, the first time I had to go out there and pick out the bowl for him. The second time I picked out the bowl for him. The third time I held him upside down and dumped him in so he could pick it up. He was yelling the whole time. I said, stop dropping the bowl. So he stopped dropping the bowl. And we had the kids feed the rabbits. We had rabbits that were outside, and so domesticated rabbits. And they had to feed them and water, give them water. They had to clean out their cage. They had to do that kind of stuff. 8 to 9-year-olds, they want to learn these life skills. It is the prime time to do that. So if your kids that have their school books and you're like, what are we doing? Today, for the next month, we're going to learn life skills. We're going to learn how to clean the nooks and crannies in your room to the very corner. It will give them something to do. Have them vacuum. Have them, do all that mopping and wiping. What are other things you can do with the 8 to 9-year-old? Well, they will probably want to learn about talking to they probably want to talk to their friends. I wouldn't teach them how to go into a Zoom room. A Zoom room you can get for free, but I wouldn't teach them how to go on because they will go on all the time. I know people that are that age and they will FaceTime grandma when mom has no idea that she's doing it, but she wanted to do it. She was taught how to do it, so she does it anytime she wants to. So the Zoom will shut them off after 40 minutes. So you can start it and you can say, okay, what friends do you want to talk to? Maybe call them beforehand, see. There might be some groups out there where kids are able to talk to one another already. So you just have to check your community and see what they might have put something in place already. But this allows them to talk to one another. Remember, if there's 2 people in the Zoom room, they have unlimited time. But if there's 3 or more, they have 40 minutes, and then it will literally shut them down. It will give them a timer, and it'll be done. So 8 to 9-year-olds, they really do want to know more about their world. They feel more confident about their world, but they still need you to make sure that things are going to be safe and there's good parameters in place. I limited the time on the computer playing games to 30 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes. The younger, like when I had a 5-year-old, if I got him off at 25 minutes, he was okay. If I waited till 30 or 35, it was like I had just taken his arm and chopped it off. I mean, he would have a screaming hissy fit because it's brain overload watching the video games all the time. And I just had to cut him off and say, nope, it's time, it's done. It's easy to put him in front of a screen. Use that screen time when you absolutely cannot be interrupted because you have a meeting from work that needs to happen. The 8 to 9-year-olds can do that. What if you have multiple children? What if you have the 8-year-old and the 6-year-old and the 4-year-old like I did? Okay, I had the rule that when I'm working from home, which I work from home this whole time, I would say I'm going to be on a call. So I told them what was happening. They knew they were to be quiet. They knew that if they argued and I had to interrupt my call, that there would be a consequence. There would be a timeout consequence. I also would tell them, if you are quiet, I will pay you $1. And $1 to them is a lot of money because they don't have a job. So if they interrupted me, that was 1. If they interrupted me again, that was 2. If I got to 3, they were going to be in a timeout. They probably were going to lose their $1. And if they were seriously obnoxious that I had to get off of my phone call in order to take care of the problem that they were having, they had to pay me $1. Only had to do that once. They did not interrupt my phone calls when I gave them the heads up. So whatever it is that you do that you are doing from home, you can set those parameters in place. I need the next, 8 to 9-year-olds can probably handle 40 minutes. you might be pushing it with an hour, and by that point, they're probably going to be getting into trouble. So do what you can to get up, go check on if it's quiet. Might want to check on that, especially if they're younger. Definitely go check and see what they're doing. 6 and 7-year-olds need to have you on a mobile phone walking. Most people have mobile phones at this point to actually walk around and just peek in to see what they're doing. It was 4 and 5-year-olds. I'd be very careful if there's quiet, and younger than that, absolutely, you just don't. Came back one time, the husbands had said, oh, they've been so good, they've been so quiet. And my friend and I looked at each other and we're like, oh, golly gee willikers, because they had taken chapstick and put it in their hair. It was a mess. So you want to have a quiet area that you can watch them, but you do not want to leave them alone for long. You can do this all day long. Okay, we're going to have this, we're going to break here, we're going to do this. Your day is going to look different. You are not going to have a regular work day. Get that expectation out of your head. You will not be frustrated if you don't expect it to be like, well, when I go to work, I just do whatever I want and work. Not when you're at home with kids. It's okay. You can be frustrated. You'll learn. And then when you don't have to do this anymore, you will fully appreciate how other people can do this all day long with numerous children, not just 1, 2, 3, or 4, 6. I hope that's been helpful. If you have questions, please feel free to ask me. If you like what you heard, please like it. If you want to subscribe, do that as well. And fill out the poll. All right. Have a great day.